In a time long forgotten, when the land was wild and the nights were dark, there existed a village nestled deep within the rolling hills of the English countryside. It was a place where the earth was rich, the air was crisp, and the people lived simple lives, bound by tradition and the rhythm of the seasons. At the heart of this village stood an ancient oak tree, its mighty branches stretching towards the heavens, its roots anchoring deep into the earth. This was no ordinary tree, but the Ironwood oak, a symbol of endurance, strength, and protection for all who dwelt there. The villagers believed that the tree had always been there, standing watch over their ancestors and guarding them against the evils of the world. They told stories of its miraculous origins, tales passed down through generations like whispers in the wind. It was said that the Ironwood oak was born of a single acorn, planted in the soil of sacrifice, and nurtured by the faith, courage, and integrity of a single, humble man. This man was Edric, a blacksmith by trade and a hero by heart. His was a story of quiet strength, of unyielding resolve in the face of tyranny, and of a love for his village so profound that it stirred the very forces of nature. The legend of Edric and the Ironwood oak is not just a tale of a man and a tree, but of a people who found their courage in the darkest of times and who stood together, united in the belief that the goodness in their hearts was stronger than any evil that might come their way. As you begin this journey into the past, remember that this is more than a story of the past. It is a lesson for the present and a beacon for the future. For in every heart, there lies an acorn waiting to grow, a seed of faith, courage, and integrity, ready to stand tall against the storms of life. And just as the Ironwood oak still stands, so too does the legacy of those who dared to live with a steadfast heart. This is their story. This is the legend of the Ironwood oak. Grandmother Elspeth, gather round, my dears, for tonight I'll tell you the tale of the Ironwood oak. A story of faith, courage, and unyielding integrity. It is a tale as old as the hills, passed down through the generations, reminding us all of the power that lies within a pure heart. The children huddle closer, the flickering firelight casting shadows on the walls. The scene fades into the past, to a time when the village was new and the Ironwood oak was just a sapling. Many centuries ago, Grandma continues, when the world was wilder and the nights darker, there lived a young blacksmith named Edric. He was a man of simple means, yet his heart was pure and his spirit strong. Edric was known throughout the village not only for his skill at the forge but for his unwavering honesty and kindness. He was a man of faith, though not in gods or kings, but in the goodness of people and the strength of his own character. Edric is shown working at his forge, the heat from the flames lighting up his face. He wipes sweat from his brow, looks out at the village, and smiles warmly as villagers pass by, greeting him with respect. But dark times came to the village when a cruel and greedy lord took power over the lands. This lord, named Roderick, was as corrupt as he was powerful. He demanded heavy taxes, leaving the villagers with barely enough to live. Any who dared to oppose him were dealt with swiftly and harshly. Lord Roderick is seen in his grand manner, counting coins with a greedy grin. Outside, his soldiers harass the villagers, taking what little they have. The mood in the village turns somber and fearful. One cold winter's night, as the wind howled through the trees, Lord Roderick sent his soldiers to Edric's forge. They demanded he forge weapons for the Lord's men to aid in their oppression of the people. But Edric, with his heart of iron, refused. "I will not forge instruments of cruelty," he said, standing tall before them. "My hands were made to build, not to destroy." The soldiers, taken aback by Edric's defiance, threaten him with imprisonment, but he remains resolute. Edric is seen being dragged away, yet he holds his head high, unbroken. Edric was thrown into a dark cell, cold and alone. But even in the depths of despair, his faith did not waver. He prayed not for his freedom, but for the strength to endure and for his village to be safe. And it was on that bitter night that a miracle occurred. The Ironwood oak, still a young tree, but now bathed in a soft, ethereal glow under the moonlight. The roots seemed to stir, as if coming to life. The Ironwood oak, still but a sapling, began to grow with unnatural speed. Its roots spread deep and wide, its branches reaching high into the sky. By morning, The tree had grown into a mighty oak, its bark as hard as iron. The villagers awoke to find it standing tall in the square, and with it came a newfound strength and hope. The villagers gather around the tree, touching its bark and feeling its power. They whisper among themselves, their fear beginning to fade. The tree had become a symbol of their unity, their courage, and their integrity. Inspired by Edric's sacrifice, the villagers found the strength to resist Lord Roderick's tyranny. They stood together, refusing to be cowed. And as they did, the Ironwood oak grew even stronger, its roots intertwining with the very foundations of the village. The villagers are gathered, standing firm, blocking the path of Lord Roderick's soldiers, unarmed but unafraid. The soldiers hesitate, unnerved by the resolve in the villagers' eyes and the looming presence of the great oak. Lord Roderick, sensing the change, grew fearful. He could not understand how his power, once absolute, was now crumbling before him. In desperation, he ordered the oak to be cut down, believing it to be the source of the villagers' strength. But as his men raised their axes, the tree's bark hardened further, the blades shattering upon impact. The oak would not fall, just as the villagers would not yield. Lord Roderick, furious and desperate, tries to take matters into his own hands, but he is struck down by a sudden gust of wind that seems to emanate from the tree itself. He stumbles back, fear in his eyes, and flees the village, never to return. With Roderick's departure, peace returned to the village. Edric was released from his cell, greeted as a hero by the people. But he, ever humble, kneeled before the Ironwood oak, giving thanks not for his own life but for the spirit of the village that had endured. He knew that the true strength of the village lay not in the oak but in the hearts of its people, who had stood firm in their faith, courage, and integrity. Edric, now older and grayer, is seen planting acorns around the village, ensuring that the legacy of the Ironwood oak would continue. The oak, standing tall and proud, as the village thrives around it. And so, my dears, the Ironwood oak still stands as a reminder to us all. It reminds us that true strength comes not from power or wealth, but from a heart that is steadfast and true. When we stand together, with faith in each other, courage in our hearts, and integrity in our souls, there is nothing we cannot overcome. The tale of the Ironwood oak did not end with the defeat of Lord Roderick. It continued to grow, just as the tree itself did, through the lives of those who came after. Edric's legacy lived on, not only in the stories passed down through the generations but in the very soul of the village, where new oaks sprang up from the acorns he had planted. Each tree is a reminder of the strength that comes from standing firm in the face of darkness. The village thrived, not through wealth or power, but through the simple virtues that Edric had embodied: faith in one another, the courage to stand up for what was right, and the integrity to do so even when it was difficult. And as the years passed, the village became known far and wide, not just for its beauty or its prosperity, but for the unyielding spirit of its people, Grandmother Elspeth. And so, my dears, remember the Ironwood oak, and remember Edric. The world may change around us, but the values they represent are timeless. Hold them close, and they will guide you through even the darkest of days. And so the Ironwood oak continues to stand, its roots deep, its branches wide, a testament to the power of faith, courage, and integrity. And as long as the oak stands, so too will the spirit of Edric and the village he loved.